Hi guys, this is Lachette and I'm back with a new video. This is my recent reads. Uh, these books I've read at the end of September and beginning of October, maybe? No, these were definitely all October reads. First off, I want to start with the two books that had nothing to do with a readathon. And the first book I read in the month of October was Shadowshaper by Daniel Halsey Older. This was on my 2019 TBR. I had heard of it, I wanted to read it, and then I remembered it and picked it out thanks to the Latinx readathon on an Afro Latinx readathon. I just didn't read it in time for that. I liked it, but it took me so long to read. It didn't catch me. I'm grateful for its existence, but I don't plan on continuing the series. There was nothing wrong with the book, it was just not for me. I struggled to finish it because I just wasn't interested. Shadowshaper is a story about a girl, Afro-Latinx girl in Brooklyn who finds out that her family, particularly her grandfather and his friends and some uncles, are all part of a clan with connections to the local spirits. And as the story goes on, she becomes more and more embroiled in the past drama, and it was cute. I liked the characters. I don't know, it was just something was missing for me. And I don't really feel like there needs to be more to this story. I don't know. I don't plan on picking up the next book is all I can say. The next book I read is A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. I picked this up. I don't even remember why. I know I wanted romance. And this was my attempt to participate in Contemporary-thon, the most recent round. And yeah, so I think I picked this up because I wanted to read the novella that comes after it, which is a female-female romance, which would have fit for me reading something outside of my comfort zone. But yeah, I like this. It was cute. A Princess in Theory. We followed two characters. One is an orphan living in Manhattan, and she is trying to, get her life together. She's a scientist specializing in, I believe it's epidemiology, and that's basically the study and potential eradication of epidemics, diseases, and things like that. And we find out pretty early on she's getting those very popular spam emails from African countries saying that you can get money or whatever. And her particular email is, she's getting emails saying that, she's really from this African country, and she's really betrothed to their prince, but they need her social security number and a whole bunch of other stuff that we're told in this modern world not to give out to strangers. So she's ignoring them while she's struggling through her, I believe it's her master's degree and the program she's trying to do, her internship. On the other hand, we have the prince who comes to New York on business, UN business at that, and he finds out that, hey, his long lost princess, his long lost betrothed is here, so let me go find her. There's a huge mix up, as these fun contemporary romances have always. when they meet, she thinks he's her temporary waiter or whatever. He's a prince. He has no clue what he's doing. And then some hijinks ensue. I loved all the characters in this. It was really... There wasn't a lot of substance to this. The misunderstanding trope is a little bit annoying. Um, but not like obviously enough that I didn't enjoy the book or that I stopped reading it. It was just like, really, dude, your number one person, the person that has your back, is telling you you need to tell her. You need to tell her. Your own conscience is telling you you need to tell her, but you don't. And yeah, but I did like the chemistry between the two characters. I will say that I was really annoyed by how the ending wrapped up though. Like, it was just too easy, and my hat is falling. So yeah, it was just too easy. There was an epidemic back in the home country of our main character in the African country, and it turned out not to be what we thought it was, and I wasn't surprised at all because once we got there, or even a little bit before, it was really heavy-handedly fed to us what the problem was and the solution. So yeah, I wasn't happy with that. Excuse me while I fix my hat here. Um, so yeah, I didn't love that, and then that would have been acceptable, but then it's just like, oh, we kind of fade to black on how the bad guy is dealt with and move on. They don't get married at the end. I think I would have like been upset by that, but they kind of stick together, and it was kind of just a very... everything was wrapped up in a bow, nothing too difficult, and I was like, the the rest of this book wasn't that simple, that easy. So yeah, this kind of overall felt like the typical modern contemporary romance with a misunderstanding trope, but with a veneer of like Black Panther. The way they talk about the African country's culture and the different tribes and stuff like that, it was just so very similar to Black Panther, and I know that both have drawn from reality and then created their own worlds. It was just just a modern romance with some African rapping. That's how it felt. So I didn't give it a high score. Um, the next book I read, these next books actually are all for the Spookathon by Books and Lala. I randomly decided to join in on this in the middle of the week because I happened to be reading a thriller, one that I wanted to read, one that I picked up for Contemporary-thon, but it worked out. And you can find my Spookathon vlog in the description down below, and if I remember, in the link up above. But yeah, so I'll tell you each book I read and then the prompts they fit. So the next book was Eve by Iris Johansen. This is book number 12 in the Eve Duncan series that Iris Johansen has. This is a series that I've been wanting to catch up on for a while. I'm not like hooked to it, but I've read these books for years on and off, and I just really need to know. I need some conclusion. I need to know what happened to Bonnie, basically. So Eve Duncan is a forensic sculptor. She takes the remains of the bones of someone who has been killed and sculpts their face to find out who they are as an alternative. What makes her also very well sought after by clients, particularly the government, is the fact that um, she can age up certain people's faces. So missing children, she doesn't necessarily need their skulls, but she can start with pictures and kind of build back to their skulls and then age it up. And it's honestly really fascinating. The way she does it is, for the most part, hands-on. She is literally sculpting, putting in the tissue and the tendons and things like that to create people's faces how they would look now. And the reason she started down this career path is because she was a victim, or her child was a victim. Eve lost her daughter Bonnie very early in life. I think Bonnie was 7 when she disappeared, and Eve has been searching to find out what happened to Bonnie ever since then. We're going on at least 10, maybe 15 years by this point. Other than her job, she's always looking for Bonnie. Always. She uses every new connection she makes in the government and in the public sector to find a new clue as to what happened to her daughter. And I need to know what happened to Bonnie as well. There's a small paranormal element to this because Bonnie's ghost does pop up every once in a while, and I forgot about that. But yeah, so here in Eve, this is the first of a specific trilogy within the Eve Duncan series, and basically where I had left off years and years ago, like 10 years ago now. Jeez. So this book, we start getting more information about what happened with Bonnie the day of, who was in the area, and a blast from Eve's past that kind of like I was not expecting. Someone she thought had been dead for literally this whole time, even before Bonnie's disappearance, has shown up again and made things very tense for Eve, for Joe Quinn, her man, and for a lot of government agencies. And so yeah, I enjoyed this. There are some irksome things that I remember from the series. Like, I don't like the way Eve treats Joe, her boyfriend, basically, her significant other. Joe is not the father of Bonnie, so, and he didn't know Eve in the beginning, so it's just, he came in after the fact, and he'll always kind of be second fiddle to this craze to find her daughter, but or find out what happened to her daughter, and that's understandable, but she keeps trying to keep him out of stuff, and it annoys the shit out of me. I just, like, y'all need to work together. You both know each other so well. You know it's better when you're together. I know not everybody you deal with is gonna accept that, but yeah. The I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy with the way the book turned out. I cannot wait for the next one. We're getting more backstory. From what I can tell, how Joe and Eve met, and I am excited. I can't believe it's been like 12 books and we don't know that. But yeah, so moving on. I talked about that enough. I read that book for the Read a Thriller Challenge and for the Read a Book with a Spooky Setting, particularly the ending. They're like in the woods, hunting each other and hunting this blast from the past and some evil bad guys, and yeah. So, but that's not the only book on my recent reads that fits that prompt. Anyway, the next book I read was The Bourbon Thief by Tiffany Reese. I don't remember why this book came up. I have a vague feeling that Olive, um, who runs the Nonfiction November, I think she did a video like, if you liked this fiction book, you'll like this nonfiction, or vice versa. And it sounded interesting. I thought this was going to be a thriller. Turns out The Bourbon Thief is a Southern Gothic novel. This book was nothing I was expecting. There's it's dark. It deals with some themes I don't there is definitely attempted rape. Racism is heavy. Um like I wasn't unexpected things. I wasn't expecting black people, but Paris walks in the beginning, and she's this gorgeous black woman in a red dress, and she's like 35, I think, and I was like, I feel seen. I think this is the first book in a long time where, especially as an adult, the character is so similar to me. That threw me off immediately. Basically, we have Paris, who goes to seduce a local bourbon king. A bourbon king basically is a guy who runs a bourbon empire, bourbon being the alcoholic drink made predominantly in Kentucky of the United States. He's a gazillionaire. He has the last bottle of this red thread bourbon from this company that had burned down and shut down years and years ago, and she goes to seduce him to steal this bottle of bourbon. Once he finds out that she stole it, he wants to know what the deal is. Like, why did she do that? He's a pretty good guy. He thought they were going into this one night stand basically with good intentions, and she sits him down and tells him a long ass story with a lot of twists and turns, and none of it was anything I was expecting. I enjoyed this quite a bit. And I feel like I want to say more, but I feel like every time I go to say something, no, that's a spoiler. No, that's a spoiler. No, that's a spoiler. But it's really good. Definitely adult themes. There's a tiny twist at the end of Paris's story that I was not expecting at all. But then once I think about it, I'm like, I shouldn't be. If you know basically the atrocities of American history, particularly in the South, and when it has to do with black people, but also with things like robber barons and just rich white men doing what they want when they want. None of this will be a real surprise. It will just be shocking if you don't know it going what this book is about. So yeah, I read The Bourbon Thief for the prompt to read a book with red on the cover, and as you can see, there are like some red leaves, and I was happy. Next book I read. Woo! Oh my goodness. I forgot I had Eve in my lap this whole time. This is the book that I was talking about, the Eve from the Eve Duncan series. So, the next and last book I read recently is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This was high on my 2019 TBR. I don't remember who suggested this to me. I think it was in a Goodreads group that is no longer really active, but I put it on my TBR, on my want to read list on Goodreads, and forgot about it. And then at the beginning of the year, I was looking through books that I, had there, and I was like, this has been here for a good 5 years, and I still haven't read it. I don't remember what it's about. I don't remember why I wanted to read it, because I've now read this and what? I have no clue. Um, I picked this up as part of Boneathon, as well as for Spookathon. Boneathon is a readathon where a bunch of people are reading the Bone Season series, which again, I thought this was a standalone. There's a series because the new book is coming out in January. I think it's the fourth book. I'm still considering whether I'm going to read the next one. I didn't dislike this, but I didn't love it. I'm still sitting here trying to figure out how to rate books that are really well written for what they are, and that are my cup of tea. It's not like I was bored with this at all. It's not like it didn't have tons of elements that I love. And it didn't have anything that let me say this properly. It didn't have a lot of things that I hated, but I don't know, like the premise of the book is based on slavery, and I don't like slavery. I enjoy how this was written, how the slavery was created. It's not African American slavery, by the way, but it's still slavery. Yeah. Okay, so let me start with the negatives. I don't like the love connection there. No. There was absolutely no chemistry, and then all of a sudden at the end when lives are in danger and we're trying to do a prison break, we're gonna make out, like clothes coming off make out. That, no, there was nothing before this, literally no sign of anything before that moment from either party. And the way it was written was so freaking melodramatic. Like, girl, no, this is not heaven. It's like, oh, is this heaven? Is this what heaven feels like? Absolutely not. No. What? Why would you even say that? Um, this was difficult the first 200 pages or so, because Samantha just throws you straight into the world. This book, let me tell you what it's about, is about a girl. I have it in front of me. Page. It's the year 2059. This is a kind of futuristic dystopian fantasy thing. It's 2059. Paige is a clairvoyant in a world, in a London and a Europe where clairvoyants are seen as less than. They are locked up and in a lot of cases killed because they're seen as unnatural. So Paige, in order to survive, when she moved to London with her father, who does not know she's a clairvoyant, he's a regular guy, she joins the syndicate. Yes, it's like the mob. So instead of crime lords, they're mime lords. I'm still trying to figure out why mime, other than the fact that it rhymes with crime. But yeah, they're underground, they commit crimes, and they only take in the most powerful clairvoyants. The rest of the clairvoyants live on the streets. One day, as she's going home, Paige gets caught by the popo, the police. I don't remember what they call them in this world because everything has a new term. It's both futuristic and also kind of just, these are what people call things. These are the terms in this world in addition to the slang. That being said, she gets caught by the police. She accidentally kills them with a new facet of her clairvoyant powers that she's never used before. So now they're after her. She gets caught. She gets sent to the tower, which is where every clairvoyant gets sent once they're caught, only to find out that the tower is just a holding place. So this whole book is about Paige trying to escape, learning more about her powers, trying to figure out, where she stands in things. I like everything. There was just no goodness in here. I think that's what bothered me. there's no happiness. There's no real like good points. Even 2/3 of the way through the book, 3/4 of the way, I was like, there's no way this is gonna have a positive ending of any kind. No matter what she does, she's still under the thumb of someone else. And as are most clairvoyants. And so I'm happy with the way this is. This is a series. And I think that's a good thing because there was nothing really happy or positive about this, which made sense because of the situation. So that's the last book I got to read. Now I'm talking about it, I probably will read the next one. Because this was just so well written. Those are my recent reads. I finished the Bone season like a week ago, maybe. And I've read like 2 or 3 books since then, so those will be in my next reading update. If you'd like to support me, I own a witchy bath and body scrub shop. I'll put a link in the description down below where you can get a 10% off discount code as well. You can follow me and become my friend, and we can talk more about books. If you like this video, and subscribe, or you can see my Twitter, my Instagram, Facebook, and Goodreads in the link in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know, have you read any of these books? What do you think about the Bone season in particular? And also the Bourbon Thief. I think those were the ones that had like my mind blown the most. And Shadowshaper was a kind of meh book. So opposite direction. Let me know what you guys think about any of these books, and I'll talk to you later.